This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain adult language, violence, and sexual themes, as well as shocking revelations. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where tonight my friends and I are playing the Mothership role-playing game. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is All That Glitters. I created this game a few minutes ago using the procedural generator in the rulebook. I'm the game warden, and this is a one-shot. So without any further delay, let's begin our journey into the darkness. You've been traveling for some time through outer space in your ship, heading towards a newly discovered planet. The planet is named KB1928. You are a survey crew sent ahead by the Lomas Surveying Company. You're interested in generally knowing what kind of resources are available on the planet. You are in your wonderful ship, the Indestructible 2, and you are currently in sort of auto landing mode. The ship is setting down on the planet, and you can feel it when it suddenly stops. The gravity is slightly less than Earth, and there is an oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere. It's a little richer than Earth, but it's breathable. What do you guys want to do?
All right. Amazing what they can get these ships to do now. Don't have to even have a human pilot in. Well, Dr. Bell, you said you analyzed the atmosphere and it's breathable for us skin bags, as you call us.
Uh, to your right, kind of sitting co-pilot will be Dr. Bell. He's got slicked back blonde hair. There we go. Sorry about that. And sort of electus that sort of run down across his eyes and then down through his jaw and down his neck. His eyes are very obviously artificial, sort of silver with camera aperture irises. And he goes, Oh, yes. Hang on. And he punches some buttons. He goes, Yeah, it shouldn't kill you.
I don't trust it. I'm staying suited up.
Where's your sense of adventure, man?
Hmm. Well,
As he talks, you can see he's rolling it looks almost like a splinter of titanium around in his mouth as though it was a cigarette.
all right. Well, I think I'm gonna follow Rhett's lead there and go out and just in the suit for just a bit, see if I can get a sample. Not that I doubt you there, Dr. Bell, but uh, I'm getting close to retirement. I don't need to get killed on some planet here with the name of a bunch of numbers.
I see. I would advise against making such proclamations. Studies have indicated that you have uh, about a 10% increased chance of lethality in your last couple of months towards retirement. Something to do about psychological complacency.
Yeah. Well, I'll stay on my toes. So kind of get on the suit there and go down to the door and type in the code to open her up.
The door slowly lifts up, making the usual sound. When the door opens up, even through your suit, you can feel that the radiant light that's reflecting off the surface of the world, it's bright, and you can there's definitely infrared, so it's warming your skin. You check the temperature gauge on your suit, and of course your internal temperature is just fine. But it says the external temperature is about 35 degrees Celsius or 95 degrees Fahrenheit. There is dust you can see blowing. Um, it's not a particularly strong wind, but it definitely looks like a desert. You can see outcroppings of crystals growing out of the rocks, but mostly in between is just brown sand, uh, much like uh, much like you'd find in an Earth desert.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
while Fulton's headed out, I'm going to head back to sort of the crew ladder and yell up the ladder that heads to sort of the explorator's lab. Be like, Ross, you coming?
Yes, I'm gathering up some sample supplies right now, and I'll be down shortly.
Very well. And Dr. Bell's going to scurry off to Med Bay, which I'm assuming is probably on the same level as the gantry, if they designed these ships properly, and get into his hazard suit, grab his revolver and his gear, and just wait by the airlock for the rest of the crew.
Brett, you've noticed that you weren't anticipating the dust blowing around on the surface. Um, you know that after a prolonged time, it might start clogging up uh, the engine vents on the ship.
Hmm.
But those can usually be fairly easily cleared.
Is there a way that we could weather the ship for it? Like an extra step of shutting it down or something?
Well, we'll say that in one of the storage lockers, there's a kind of, um, you know, tarp you can put over the ship, like like you would put over your car to keep the weather off of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to set up for too long here. How long is it going to take us to get some samples? I'm just on edge. Every time I get to an alien planet, I'm expecting something to kill me, even though this place looks pretty desolate.
Yeah. I think it'd be worth covering it up. You get some of that sand into those intakes, and
Yeah.
it's impossible to get all that crap out of there. And you can burn up your engines pretty quick if it starts grinding in there, getting in the oil and the hydraulic fluids and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and if we got to take off in a hurry, we just burn the tarp, right?
Yeah, we can rip that off pretty damn quick. That's for sure. So
The general mission orders allows for up to 3 months on the planet. However, that's contingent on whether it's dangerous, whether it's just waste of time. You have other assignments, that you can eventually head out towards.
uh, I'll go and I'll go grab the tarpaulin to cover up the ship so we don't get dust and stuff in there.
Yeah, maybe the intake vents have those sort of plugs that
Mm-hmm.
plug
Yep.
into them to keep stuff from getting in.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Uh, so you guys, uh, you fix the ship so that it's protected from the weather. Um, what are you going to do? Consider
is
that
our
there's still an east, north, southeast, and west.
yeah is our suits, is it temperature controlled, or is it going, are we getting pretty warm in our suits?
No, it's temperature controlled.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, of course, it's temperature controlled temperature wise. Like I say, the radiant uh,
Yeah.
coming through your visor still warms up your face.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to trust Dr. Bell there and kind of unseal it just a bit and just breathe in.
It has an interesting smell. almost like gunpowder.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. I'll mention I'll mention that as I
Like
go.
like there's minerals in the air. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it does seem you can breathe it. It's got a weird smell and all. Good thing what I have this little menthol balm that I rolled up. I'm gonna put a little underneath my nose, kind of like they do in a morgue, so
Sure.
they smell that instead. And
The
like
dust will
I hate
stick
where
to it and you'll get a little brown mustache. Yeah.
yeah, I look very appropriate. Okay, I was like I hate wearing these things, and so I take my helmet off there and kind of you know put on a little hat to kind of this got a little brim to protect my face a little bit from the radiation.
You couldn't even last until we were done fixing the tarp, could you?
No, no. You know me. I hate those things. You got no peripheral vision in it. They're awful.
You should wrap your face with a scarf or something. There's probably heavy metals that'll give you cancer.
Oh, I can take care of that.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. You're full of heavy
Yeah.
metals, aren't you?
Well, gentlemen, should
Dr.
we get to it?
Noble, Dr. Noble, you're looking around. Do a xenobiology roll.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I rolled a 16. So,
You at
yeah.
first when you get off the ship and you look around, you're a bit distressed. You don't see any plant life or anything that resembles plant life of any kind. But you start to notice, I assume you guys are walking around a little bit.
Mhm.
You start to notice that in the sand there are, well, I don't know how I would describe them. It's as if you took, let's say, the end of a pencil and stuck it in the sand and then started drawing little patterns, little
Hmm.
meandering patterns. And it reminds you a lot of certain insects that you've seen that are called doodle bugs. They sort of crawl around just under the sand surface and leave these funny little trails. Um, you see a lot of those.
Okay. I'm gonna get one of those beach shovels that you see that's got the perforated holes in it, and
Sure,
just kind of
sure.
start to dig at the surface and see if I can get some of these samples that I think might be there.
Well, it's kind of easy to tell where the thing might be because the little trail ends. And when you dig up there, what you find is some little bits of crystal, um, about the size of, oh, I don't know, peas. Um, they're pretty little crystals, like possibly quartz. You'd have to analyze them to see what kind of material they're made of. But you don't find any little animals or anything like that.
Okay. Well, I'll keep what I find anyway, and I'll put it in a small container for analysis later.
Okay. So as you guys are looking around, you do notice there are these outcroppings of rock,
Yeah.
of crystals.
Hmm.
Most of them are kind of a pale gray, but some of them do seem to have some deep color to them, greens and reds and
Hmm.
yellows.
Hmm.
I go up to one and is it besides the blowing dust that would be on it, is it kind of like a talc, how if you rub your hand on it, like part of it just kind of dusts off the
No,
mineral or
it's
what?
pretty hard.
Hmm.
Yeah, the dust just wipes off.
Hmm.
And underneath the crystal itself looks pretty well formed, like large quartz crystals, they look
Yeah.
like.
And it's not brittle, like, so you can't like just snap part of it off or anything either.
No, but you probably have, you're a surveyor, so you probably have little
Yeah.
hammers and things like that.
Oh yeah. I
Oh,
just
yeah.
seen first of, huh. Hmm. Well, what we're here for. So we'll go get the tools and start getting us some samples. See if this is something they'd be interested in.
Are there any pieces that have like snapped off of one of these bigger units?
Um, yeah, there's a few small pieces that have broken off.
Okay, I'll grab a couple of those. And I think, let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna grab one I think it's probably large enough to run a chemical analysis on. And I'd like to get back to the lab and see if I can figure out what it's made out of.
Okay.
Uh,
So you're going to go right back into the ship. What about the rest
I'll
of you?
wait. Sorry. I will wait for the rest of the crew.
I'm gonna get whatever we use to mine. I'm picturing kind of like almost like a jackhammer kind of thing, so you can kind of break off a decent chunk of the crystal. Because I'd like to get to the heart of the crystal, because sometimes inside they might be different different
Sure.
composition than on the outside. So yeah.
Okay, so you've got a some sort of a jackhammer-ish looking thing, and you're going to go up to what, one of these larger clusters.
Mm-hmm.
You begin the machine, and as it rings sort of on the crystals, there's definitely a kind of musical sound to it as you hit it. And after a few sharp cracks, um, that sound suddenly becomes dull, and you see the crystal sort of crack over as
Mm.
you've sheared it off. Uh,
All too easy. Kind of.
do any of you have any kind of geology or anything like that? I don't think you took any of that.
I did actually take a
Oh,
geology point.
Nice.
okay. Well, go ahead and roll your geology.
Let's see.
I think that's gives you
Oh wow. 11 critical success.
oh,
Nice.
nice. Um, your your first guess looking around is that most of this is probably quartz or silicon. Um, there's definitely other things there. Uh, what you are hoping for mostly is precious metals and um, things like palladium and rhodium and things that are very rare on Earth. But the crystals are interesting. They seem to have a refractory property that's odd. When you hold it in the sun, the light that passes through down to where its shadow would be, it's almost hypnotic as it sparkles with different rainbow colors. Um, but you're pretty sure from the shape of it and the matrix that it's quartz of some sort, which is mostly worthless. It's pretty, but it's mostly worthless.
Yeah, well, mostly to the doctor and the robot. I'll tell them that these rocks don't look like anything valuable to me, but yeah, I'll bring attention to those light patterns that we've seen prisms that take clear light turns into a rainbow, but not like this. Just here, look at where this is going down to the sand. It's doing something weird.
Hmm. This is very interesting. Would my like digital eyes pick up that same refractory issue?
I'm sure you can tune them to the
Okay.
human
Yeah.
spectrum.
So this might be something undiscovered that could be worth some money, but as far as a resource by itself, I don't think this is what the corpos are looking for.
Hmm.
Unless they want to make jewelry.
You never know. They've all those suits really have a nose for uh sort of say unfettered capitalism. Um anyway, Dr. Ross, do you have all the samples you need?
I do. I'd like to also set up some weather equipment, seismographs, things like that. It should be a good idea to kind of get an idea of what the weather patterns here are like, how stable this planet is, uh, different things like that, and kind of set up the equipment, hook it up to the ship's computer so it can record all of that.
Okay. That should take you a few minutes to set it up. And at this point, you guys haven't been here more than 20 or 30 minutes anyways. You're just now setting up camp, so to speak.
Hmm.
Yeah, you set that up. What does everybody else want to do?
I'd like to start digging around the base of one of these large clusters to see if I can tell what the crystals are coming out of, if there's a harder rock underneath the sand.
That's a good call.
All right, so you
So
start digging. Fulton, what are you doing?
Uh, Going to looking around. Are all the crystal formations kind of all the same color?
More or less. I mean, you
Okay,
haven't
then
wandered very far, so
right, but yeah, if that's the case, I'm going to go help the rat with his digging and all. That's why they brought me along. And being a teamster, I don't want people cutting in doing my job and all this. That's against the union contract.
oh yeah, thank you. I can dig a mean latrine, but I'm sure you'll make it go by a lot faster.
Nah, yeah, no issue. The trick is, how you get use this machine here, and it'll do a lot of the lifting for you.
While they're doing that, I'd like to see if I can just run some preliminary analysis on these little crystal samples I have.
okay. Um,
As for like stomping around, I mean, I'm moving machinery around and everything. Uh, as the little what were they doodle bugs and stuff, have they kind of reacted like because we're probably causing a seismic activity to just us walking for them.
yeah, you don't see any of that happening.
Okay.
Um, you do notice that those little trails are all over the place.
Hmm.
But you're not seeing them form. You're wondering if it might even be the action of the wind blowing, how,
Oh.
in the desert it can make little ripples in the sand.
Hmm.
You're not sure if that's the case, but they sure look like something moved along and left a trail.
Hmm.
Uh, Dr. Bell, you
Yes.
go into the ship to the place where you can analyze the crystals. And you do notice that there's kind of an outer shell of the crystals that is definitely quartz and or silicon. But the deeper inside, you start to notice there's a good level of quartz. I mean, not quartz, carbon, um, almost on the level of like diamonds. They're made out of carbon.
Oh,
Um, you test the hardness of the crystals on the Mohs scale, and they're definitely approaching 10, which is diamond in hardness. Um, that doesn't mean that you can't shatter them with a jackhammer, but
right.
in actual physical hardness, they're pretty damn hard. And they also seem to have the way the crystals grew inside them. There's something very odd and suspicious about it, almost like it's a matrix of some sort. It doesn't look like it would have naturally grown, or whatever conditions grew it
Hmm.
doesn't make any sense.
So it's essentially like a diamond wrapped in sort of like a quartz outer shell.
Yeah.
Okay. And does the outer shell express the same hardness as the inside?
Yes. And
Okay. That's very
the
unusual.
the atomic structure, the way that it's been put together, seems to be odd. I mean, crystals grow. I mean, you've got 1,000 examples on Earth,
Right.
um, but something has caused these to grow in a different matrix that makes them extremely hard. And looking at the atomic analysis of the inside, it almost seems as if it were arranged by an artificial means,
Huh.
though
Uh,
that's not likely.
Ross, have you made it back on board the ship yet?
Yes.
Uh, Dr. Noble, could you take a look at this?
Wow, these findings are quite exceptional. Um, Never quite seen crystals made like this before.
I think you're do you have training in geology? I forget. I apologize.
Um, Unfortunately, no. I'm more of the biology area. Um, is kind of my specific training. I
Hmm.
mean, I could try. I mean, I did take biology or geology 101
You
many,
can
many years
always
ago.
roll your intellect.
Yeah,
Sure.
Obviously, everybody's learned more than just their specialty in
yeah.
school.
And we're trying to roll under.
Yeah,
Okay.
and doubles is critical.
Well, I got a 23 out of 67. I'm trying to see, like, I suspect this is artificial, but is there anything to indicate that it actually is, like it was manufactured?
Well, when you start to look at the atomic structure on a higher and higher level, you're using some sort of electron microscope to peer into it. It seems like the transition between the carbon diamond and the silicon is precise. It
Okay.
didn't just grow. It's an actual physical, I mean, an actual spot where the atoms on one side are carbon, the atoms on the other side are silicon or quartz. Yeah, I mean, some natural process maybe, but you can't imagine what it would be.
That is absolutely bizarre.
It is quite bizarre.
Hey, Rhett, you've muted
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, I hear you.
Hey, Rhett, have you ever been shot at by anything that uses crystals?
Drills. No, no bullets.
Hmm. Okay.
Hey,
Uh,
I was just thinking, we didn't see any bodies of water from orbit. Can you guys confirm?
uh, I don't recall seeing any. Fulton, you on here?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
Do you see any
What
wet spots on your way down?
wet spots was this? A double entendre or something? No, no,
Oceans, lakes. Yeah, it's
no,
just wondering
no.
if this planet has a water cycle.
Possibly you saw that the ice caps are ice caps, but they're small, like on Mars.
Hmm.
And you don't know if it's water or if it's just solid, carbon dioxide or something else. But you didn't see
Quite
any open
interesting.
bodies of water.
Got it.
And on our way down, when we were looking at the landscape of the planet, for what we could see, does it look fairly representative of what's around us? Like a
It's
fairly large
mostly
area?
it's mostly rock and sand and gravel, and I mean it's got a huge landscape, the same as Earth does. But one of the things that attracted the planet was that it is mostly mineral, which means that there might be huge resources of valuable minerals and metals. It's just a rock. You certainly, Loma Survey Company certainly doesn't want you to come back saying, oh, there's a whole living ecosystem of plants and animals. And then all the environmentalists would get involved.
Yeah, they basically want me to fail at finding life forms. Okay,
Right.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
Um, would our ship be equipped to do core samples?
Sure. Into that. Um, before you go that far, as you guys are in the lab working, you think that you can hear a tinkling sound, like glass on glass or something like that. It's very faint, um, and you're not sure where it's coming from, but you guys are working with the crystals, so you're wondering if you're tapping the crystals or something.
Are they vibrating?
You don't feel any vibration.
Hmm.
It definitely had a musical quality when Fulton snapped pieces off of it.
Interesting.
Can I record that sound? Like, do we have equipment in here?
Sure.
Um,
In fact, you probably have it's probably sensitive enough to localize where it's coming from.
got it. So where is it coming from?
As you do that, you bring it close to the crystals, and it's not coming from the crystals. You start, looking at the other samples on the table, and it's not coming from there. And then, just as you turn around and head towards, one of the surfaces where you've put your gear and stuff like that, the sound is coming from there. But when you approach, the sound stops. And the only thing that is new or unusual on that table is the glass jar that Ross has the samples of the little crystal things that he picked up in the doodlebug sand.
Hmm.
Okay. I'd like to take one of my little crystals and replicate the same tests that Dr. Bell has done on his crystal samples.
Um, what tests do you want to test? Do you want to test composition? You want to do a spectral analysis?
But yeah, before I destroy it, let's do a spectral analysis on it and see what that looks like.
They're very small crystals, small, about like I say, the size of a pea. Maybe a centimeter is the largest one that you've got. Um, they're also silicon on the outside and like diamond carbon on the inside. Uh, but you can also see now that you've got like a single one in your hand that there is symmetry to it. The crystals are symmetrical. They're not they're not just random. They don't seem to have grown on something. They seem to have simply grown in perfect symmetry, almost like a cut diamond.
Interesting.
And go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I was going to ask for, to kind of zoom in if we had an electron microscope to see how small I could view.
When you zoom in very close, you begin to realize that there are differentiations, like what are they called? Like when you look into a diamond and you can see inclusions where it's got, facets almost on the inside. I'm not getting the right word, but there's definitely inclusions through the matrix of the crystal. And that's when you think at first, your first thought is that the crystal is crumbling as you're looking at it, because you're looking at it so close. You see it starts to fracture along these inclusion lines. And then it crawls off of the instrument a couple of centimeters and then closes back up, almost like a pill bug.
I look at Dr. Bell and I said, did you see that move?
Hmm? I'm sorry, I was reading something. What's going on?
Oh, I was looking at one of my little crystals that I found under the electron microscope, and I noticed that it started to degrade and moved itself out of the way.
Are you feeling all right?
Feeling pretty good.
Well, wait, its outer shell is quartz, right?
Yes,
Isn't that piezoelectric? Doesn't it respond to electric currents?
I believe it does. We could certainly apply a mild current to it to see.
Well, do you think bombarding it with electrons may have caused it to react in some way?
It's possible.
Hmm.
It's quite possible. The symmetry of this object is quite astounding. I've never actually seen anything quite like it. It's quite beautiful.
Meanwhile, outside,
Yeah.
Fulton and
Yeah.
Rhett, you have been digging around this thing,
Yeah. I'm
and
like,
you realize that it all sort of, the mass of the crystal sort of gets narrower as you
hmm.
get down.
Oh.
And you uncover what almost looks like I don't know, a crystal sphere. And this is coming out of the top of it. So it's only part of a
Hmm.
sphere,
Yeah.
but
Huh.
it seems polished and smooth and unscratched. But the crystals are definitely growing up and out of it.
Look at that. It's
So, so
strange.
I'm imagining there's a geode where crystals form inside of rocks and they get a jagged structure. This seems like it's inverted, like it's this is weird. I mean, that's why I was wondering about water. Crystals don't just grow. Uh, this I it's making me think it's like a seed. We should get Dr. Noble out here.
Yeah. I mean, I can break it loose. I still got my jackhammer here. I can break it loose. We can just get right underneath that sphere, to break it loose, and see if it's
Yeah,
attached to anything. All right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like that. Shear it off.
All right.
It takes some hitting it, but it fractures
hmm.
because of the impact. Um, and the sphere itself breaks loose from the crystals.
Okay. Is it
How big
heavy?
of a sphere? Like
Yeah.
bowling ball? Bigger?
Oh, yeah, a little bigger than a bowling ball, considerably heavy,
Yeah, that's probably a couple
because it's
hundred pounds, huh?
crystal. Um, Dr. Fulton, as you get it, I mean, you guys got to kind of dig it out a little bit.
hmm. Yeah.
Uh, what do you say to one another?
I I go. I hope this is a valuable mineral. It's because if each one of these have one of these, got quite the find. Get a little maybe finally get that Christmas bonus from the company.
So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
That's what Fulton says.
Hmm.
But Rhett, what you hear Fulton say is just gibberish. It sounds like he's speaking a language, but he's just suddenly gone into Grummel keys or something like that.
Mm.
That just sounds like total gibberish to you.
Right. I'm gonna like make eye contact and just say like, "The fuck are you talking about?"
And you
All
also
right.
hear gibberish, Fulton, when he speaks to you.
Goes, goes, uh, huh? You know,
Mm.
I know you knew another language. You know, I don't. Jesus, man. Come on.
I'm gonna radio back to the ship. Hey guys, Fulton's losing it out here.
What do we
And so,
hear?
guys, what you hear over the intercom is, therefore, the blah 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 put up you know, and
Uh,
you're like, what
okay.
the hell?
What else is going on?
I think maybe their comms from the fritz. How did they manage that?
I don't know. I think we better go check out what's going on. They might need your medical assistance.
So I'm gonna say like the same thing, but like angrier and like slowly and loudly. Like,
Uh,
answer me. I'm speaking clearly.
I happen to be trained in linguistics. Is there anything that indicates this is more than just like garbled transmission stuff?
Well, you're definitely getting the emotional feeling. It sounds like he's a really angry Italian at the moment, but but I mean, it sounds like he's playing with you because it's not a language that you've ever heard, but it definitely sounds like a language.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
With me holding this sphere and Rhett really not responding, and I go, fine, I'll fucking carry it myself to the ship. God, and it just
Both just really
start
angry at each other.
walking. Yeah, I just kind of walk like those World's Strongest Man competitions.
So you've
Got
just
that
got this giant like crystal length is what
ball.
you're carrying?
The
Yeah.
sphere is what I'm carrying.
Oh, okay.
Do you have a loader exoskeleton to hold it?
Yeah. No.
Well, even though you can't communicate, you can still sort of cooperate.
Hmm.
But you
No
know,
way.
you definitely both know that something is wrong with the other person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, my God.
So do we see them just like coming back towards the ship?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
carrying a rather substantial stone
Mhm.
that glitters in the sun.
Huh. I'm gonna go help Fulton with the rock.
Look at
No
this
idea why
thing.
Rhett's not helping.
Look at this thing. It's massive. Is we just dug down to it. It was nothing to get to it.
Gibberish.
Uh, okay. If I radio to uh, Ross, radio test. Do you hear me?
Yes, he does.
Yes, I hear you. Just fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
If
as
he's
I
not
as I
re-
get close, I'm gonna say, "Hey, Fulton, uh, nod your head yes if you can understand me."
Look, I'm sorry I called you a coghead that one time, but like don't give me your Android babble crap right
Is his
now.
helmet off?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Okay.
took his helmet off.
Mhm.
Um, Now this becomes really interesting because Fulton and Ross, you both can understand Dr. Bell, but your
Oh, okay.
responses are gibberish to him.
Uh, yeah.
Okay. So he nods. Okay, so like Bell's thinking. He's like, okay, something like, I would expect something like this out of like a stroke victim, but for both of you to have it at the same time is a bit odd. Um, okay, let's get you onto the ship. I It seems like you're able to understand. So Fulton's going to sound weird and Rhett too. You seemingly can understand me, but what you think you are saying doesn't make any sense to us. And he'll sort of like motion between himself and Noble.
Man, his little card got messed up in his head.
I'm gonna
No,
gibber angrily to keep you outside. I'm gonna drop down to a knee and try to write hello with my big metal finger.
which you just write some strange
Nice.
symbols.
Does it look like hello to me?
Yeah, it looks like hello to you.
Yeah, so I'm
Oh, of
just really
course.
Yeah,
gesturing at it.
you can definitely understand your own language.
Yeah.
guys, you're
Great.
just talking a bunch of shit, and I don't know what's going on, but we got to get you back in the ship, run some diagnostics on you guys, figure out what's going on.
You want this rock? I carried it all the way over here.
I
Maybe
mean, I will look at the rock and be like, it's a
what?
nice rock. We could put it in the lab.
Okay, all right. Yeah, well, we gotta set it somewhere. My arms are starting to burn, man. This
Yeah,
thing's
right. So yeah,
heavy.
I will help him up the gantry and we will put the big rock in the lab.
Okay.
So the big rock, when you analyze it, looks very similar uh, to all the other crystalline structures, except that it's oddly smooth, like a sphere, instead of like a crystal. Once again, the outside is mostly silicon and quartz, and the inside seems to be carbon. The inside, however, is not, it's got thousands and thousands of small fractures in it um, that seem to have some odd symmetry, but uh, it's at the most you can say about it is it's incredibly beautiful and it reflects the light, but it doesn't look like it should be natural.
Hmm, interesting. Well, I'm gonna put a pin in that and see if I can get one of these belligerent patients into the med bay so I can give him a quick brain scan.
Um, all right. So who do you want to scan?
Well, Fulton seems to be working with me more than Rhett. But I also don't want like Rhett to be left alone. So, Dr. Noble, would you mind just staying with Mr. Schloss for a moment?
Yeah, yeah, he can help me out.
I'm
Uh,
gonna be real annoying for you. Every time you say anything, I'm gonna like mimic it back to you. But you won't know what I'm saying.
so I am going to use my, I don't know if it would be field medicine or surgery, but I'm going to use that to try to figure out where the wires have gotten crossed inside Mr. Jones here.
You ain't doing no surgery on me. What
Well,
the?
no, just a scan. I meant just a scan.
Oh.
Yeah, he just has to point the big gigantic needle at you
Yeah.
to scan. Yeah. So
The nozzle is calibrated.
you do a brain scan on Fulton, and you find by the way, Fulton and Rhett, you can raise your stress level by 1d4.
Okay.
You notice that the serotonin levels in their brains are, or his brain is much higher than it should be. Um, but other than that, you don't see any like damage or anything like that. His brain also seems to be more active uh, in general. You know, the ripples of energy through the human brain are. It's almost like he's in a REM sleep, but wide awake.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Um, well, that's not good. You shouldn't be having this kind of brain activity while you're conscious.
What? No, I'm not a doctor. What are you talking about there, Dr. Bell? Oh,
I don't get any of that, do I? It's just kind of like confused grunting. Um, he's going to look at you, look at the readout, look back at you, and go, uh, "Oh, that's right. Your brain activity here," and he'll point at the screen, "looks like when you're asleep, but you're not asleep. That's a
yeah.
problem."
Okay. Well, give me like some pill or something like like
You want me to knock you out?
no.
Oh,
I
okay.
shake my head. No. When he says that, I get up and off the scanner or whatever it was that looked at it, remove the little things. I'm like going, no, I'm good. Once you get your ears cleaned out and stuff, come get me and all. But I'm gonna get back to work. Good
Oh no.
God.
So, Rhett, you're in there with Dr. Noble. What are you guys doing?
Um,
So I'm definitely annoying him and being frustrating. Well, I'm very angry. I got 4 on that stress roll, by the way.
Nice.
yeah, yeah. Um, I want to try to run some tests on this sphere that they've just brought in here. My goal is to try to determine, is this thing alive? So, does it have a metabolism? Can it control its internal temperature? Does it respond? Well, I noticed it does respond to some stimuli, but I want to try some other things as well to see, because that's kind of where I'm going. I think this thing might be a living thing.
So, as you are studying it and running tests on the sphere, um, Rhett, to you, you think at first that it's odd that Dr. Noble, as he's working, keeps muttering something to himself. Just about make it out. Uh, if you get a little closer to him and you listen, it sounds like he keeps repeating one word over and over again. Violation, violation. Dr. Noble, at some point you notice that Rhett has moved closer to you and he seems to be listening to you, but you're not making any noise at all.
I'm gonna try to
Okay.
say violation.
Yeah, it just comes out as gibberish.
Hmm.
Okay. Uh, Charades. I know we could do charades.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, all right. So, over the door on the ship, I know it says exit. Can I still read that?
Yeah, you seem to be able to.
Okay, so I'm gonna take one of Dr. Noble's books and just start shredding it like a serial killer writing a ransom note and try to put words together.
Okay. You can do an intelligence roll.
Nice, 91.
You think that you recognize the letters as you're putting them together. You're flipping some of them upside down, some of them right side up, some of them sideways, and you're just spelling out gibberish. And you're thinking that maybe the only reason why you knew what the sign over the door says is because
Mm,
you already knew what the sign over the door said.
okay, interesting.
But for some reason, your ability to communicate isn't working. And then, as Dr. Noble is curiously staring you right in the face, you hear violation, violation, violation. But Dr. Noble's not moving his mouth. It's coming from somewhere else.
Hmm. Is it in his voice? Mm,
You thought it was a whisper. It's more of a whisper than anything else, but it's
okay.
coming from somewhere else.
So, from all the angry grunting and gesturing and ripping up your book in front of you and making a mess out of it, I'm gonna suddenly stop, cut my ear, and point at the rock.
Okay, you hear something coming from the rock, and I say that back to Red. Great. Okay. Um, Gonna try something. Uh, I'm gonna get out like a sheet of paper and write the alphabet on it, and I'm gonna try to see if Rhett can point to letters and see if he can spell things out.
This sounds like an interesting technique. Rhett, do an intelligence roll.
Nice. Nice. Um, my intelligence is 32, by the way. Ooh, 95.
Jeez.
Rhett, you you
Dog.
know you know exactly what Dr. Noble is doing. You can see there's 26 figures. You know that it's the alphabet. But when you try to spell things out, you are spelling gibberish.
Okay.
Hmm. All right. I think I'm gonna sit down and look at my hands for a while.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
I'll get him. I'll get him a cup of water.
and as Dr. Noble is getting you a cup of water and you're sitting down there with your hands, you're hearing that violation, and it's coming from the little jar on the table that has the crystals that Dr. Noble collected earlier. We'll jump back to Fulton and Dr. Bell. We'll say, Dr. Bell, too, that you've run similar ideas and tests. And it seems that the communication is not working in one direction, which makes no real sense. And there doesn't seem to be any brain damage. It's almost as if something external is preventing
Hmm.
communication.
An out of character question. Are
Mhm.
aliens known to exist in this setting?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are out here looking for things because you know that on some planets you have found life, and
And
the
then this paperwork.
environmentalists don't want you to screw
Yeah.
up any alien life
Yeah.
forms.
A mountain of paperwork. Got it. Huh. Okay. Uh, so I'm
Fortunately,
also now
there's
hearing this violation chant.
no,
Oh, okay.
no, you don't hear anything.
Thank you for clarifying. Um, hmm.
You're in the next room over anyway, so you don't hear anything. Um,
Okay. I'm going to because he's not examining me
Oh yeah, you're
anymore.
not trapped in this
Yeah,
office.
yeah. I'm getting up and like going. Well, I'm gonna go review the landing tapes and see when we overflew and see if there was any other areas there. If the whole planet's covered with these crystals here and stuff. That's what we're here for, not for you to not be able to understand me.
Hmm.
so Fulton, as you get up,
Mhm.
I'm going to assume that there are windows looking out onto the
Yeah.
landscape from your ship. You look out into the desert and you see something off in the distance moving.
Going to grab a set of like binoculars and
Okay.
put in, see
The
if I can get a better view of it.
the angle of the window and the glare, it's a
Mhm.
little difficult to see, but that it's almost you're pretty sure there's a dust cloud of some sort, but it's
Hmm.
an oddly triangular shaped dust cloud. and you
Hmm.
don't know if it's moving to the side a little, but it is it also moving, getting bigger, like it's heading towards you.
Hmm. Um, I'll go step outside the ship and see, without the angle and the glare, and if it's wind, you can tell there's wind in there, and wind in the atmosphere.
You you step outside the ship. Now, of course, Dr. Pell, you've noticed your patient has gotten up. He's walked, grabbed binoculars, and he's walked out the ship. Um, and you see him walk away from the ship, maybe, oh, I don't know, 30 feet or so. And he's holding up the binoculars and he's looking at something. You look out the window and you think maybe there's something way out there in the desert on the horizon, but you can't see it very well.
Hmm.
Uh, Dr. I mean, Fulton, you
Hmm.
look and there's kind of on the horizon, there's kind of a sparkle. And as you're staring at it, it takes you a minute to sort of put together what it might be, but it looks like a rather enormous boulder, um, fairly cube shaped, but also rough and rock, almost like it's been chipped out of a mountainside. And it is rolling end over end like a dice
Hmm.
rolling. Um, it's a long way out there, but it's definitely rolling in your direction. Your estimate from the surroundings, it could be 15 feet tall and
Hmm.
must weigh tens of thousands of tons.
Wow. Huh. Well, that I am going to start uncovering, the intake valves and all, because if it's headed right for us, I'm thinking, well, we're going to need to move this thing, get out of the way. So I started moving the intake valves on our intake covers on the intake valves.
Okay. Dr. Bell,
Um,
you've noticed that Fulton outside suddenly looks quite distressed, and he's come running over to take off the exhaust port covers.
I'm seeing this thing also on the horizon, right? Like I don't have his
Well, you're seeing
binoculars, but
something out there. Yeah, you're seeing something way off in the distance, but you don't quite know what it is. You need to get binoculars.
okay.
You probably have a pair.
I'm gonna get on the ship intercom
Okay.
and just to like message Noble and be like, Dr. Noble, Fulton's there's something on the horizon and it's caused Fulton to panic a bit. I will reply when I have more information. I'm gonna go grab my binoculars and come back to I guess the cockpit where I was and try to
Okay.
see this thing.
Yeah, you see it. It's a large, sort of white gray stone. It doesn't look like a crystal. It looks like a boulder. Um, and it seems to be rolling across the plane, heading in your direction, though you don't see any reason why it would roll. There's no wind that could roll that thing, and it's definitely not uphill from where you are. It's just pretty flat. It's as if it's rolling all on its own.
Okay, so you're gonna hear another click and like the screech of the intercom. He goes, so we've got some kind of like Xeno armadillo or like a sentient boulder. I don't know what, but we need to get the ship out of the way.
Yeah, stones still rolling himself by themselves. I think it's time to go.
So I'm actually gonna run outside, and even though we can't like communicate, I'm going to tell Fulton because I know it works one way, that I'm helping him remove the car tarp or whatever it is we've thrown over the ship.
Hmm. Give him a thumbs up on that.
At this point, you can hear a thunderous sort of sound in the distance. You can definitely hear that thing rolling. Ba boom, ba boom, ba boom every time it flips
Hmm.
a little closer.
Damn.
Oh
Uh,
no.
you you also while you're outside, go ahead and let's see. We don't really have a spot hidden, do we?
Not really.
Um, you start to notice that there are smaller rocks that seem to have gathered maybe 100 feet away from you, here and there, almost like they're trying to surround the ship. Now, you didn't see them there before,
Right.
Huh.
so
Oh,
you're wondering if they moved there,
Now, when you say smaller, like,
like hand size and,
okay, yeah, so
little
significantly,
things.
significantly smaller than the D6 rolling our way.
Right.
Okay, all right, I gotcha. Okay, uh, so I think I've got the tarp all removed and stuff. Going to get it stowed. Then one of those rocks the smaller rocks, I'm gonna go over there and pick it up.
Okay. So as you walk towards the rocks,
Mhm.
you get within maybe 10 feet of them, and you start to hear the sound, almost like somebody whispering in your ear, saying, violation, violation, violation. And you realize that it's coming from the rocks. And just about that time, some of the smaller rocks start rolling at you and sort of bounce on the dirt as they roll and come flinging themselves right at your body. Do you want to? You could do combat maybe to get out of the way or dodge.
Uh, how fast are they coming at me when they bounce?
Well, they started to sort of roll, and now it's almost as if somebody had picked them up and were throwing them at you. So they'll hit you pretty hard.
Okay, yeah, I got you. So not, I couldn't catch it that because it hurt my hand pretty bad. So yeah, I'm going to dodge. Try and duck, dodge,
Okay,
dive, and
we'll
dodge.
call that combat.
Okay. So my combat's 36, so I just have to roll against that. Gotcha. 23.
Okay. You manage to jump out of the way just as one almost hits you in the head. And you see it fly past you, hit the ground, and roll for a bit, and then it stops. And then it starts to roll back towards you. Now some of the other rocks are doing it too. Dr. Bell, did you step outside or are you
oh yeah,
looking through the window?
I had gone out to try and assist him, and now I'm trying to see if I could drag him back into the ship before we
Yeah.
get
You start to notice these rocks are beginning to attack.
murdered via autolytic propulsion. Um,
Interestingly enough, the rocks don't seem interested in you at all.
oh, cool. Well, I noticed that. I'm gonna log that away and try and drag Fulton back on the ship.
Oh, you don't have to drag. I'm going
Yeah.
pretty.
Uh, Dr. Noble and Schloss, you're looking out the windows, watching this bizarre. It's like an old-fashioned biblical stoning.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be distracted trying to have an argument with the jar. Once it started talking to me, I'm going to be demanding answers and shaking it angrily.
When you do that, you do notice that these little crystals start to sort of unfold. They're almost like little insects, and they, in distress, sort of run around. But it seems like their defense mechanism is mostly to get someplace and then pull everything in and look like a crystal again. But they definitely, you see them sprout little legs, for lack of a
Mm.
better thing. And if Dr. Ross is watching, he notices that that must have been what the little crystal did. It moved, it got out of the way. It didn't fall apart, it unfolded.
Um, as uh, as we're getting back into the ship, once I know that Fulton's not, gonna get beaten to death with rocks, I'd like to make my way to the lab. That's all I wanted to add.
Okay. As you guys get inside, you hear a couple of rocks hit the side of the ship. Bang, bang, like this. And you can still hear that distant thud, thud, thud as the giant at D6, as you said, is coming closer.
I'm going to run up to the flight deck and start running through the checklist to get the thing moving.
Okay.
When I get to the lab, am I seeing Rhett just like mercilessly assault this glass jar?
He's shaking it. Now he's looking at it in surprise.
I'm gonna dump one out in my hand and hold it like between my fingers and try to like get it in my face because they're talking to me. So I'm trying to like get it to answer me.
You can all increase your stress again. Please do 1d4s.
Um,
I forget how to do a panic roll. Uh,
I think it's like a D20, and if it's under your stress, you fail.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
uh, while Rhett is distracted, I'm gonna flag down Dr. Noble and grab that sphere that Fulton brought on board.
Yeah.
uh,
I was like, help me push this out the gantry.
Okay.
Um, so I guess Fulton, as you're running like your pre-flight checklist, you just suddenly see the gantry down, like light come on.
What the hell? And I flip the switch again. That close.
Can I make a computer's check to try and outtime him on the
sure, sure.
the switch fight? Oh no, I rolled a 92. We're all gonna die.
Yeah. Like they override that's up in the flight deck to disable the.
Yeah, we need that thing. That's what we're here for.
You're in the lab. We're somewhere else.
I yell over there, stop trying to open the goddamn door. We gotta get this thing moving. Jeez.
We've got to get the orb off the ship.
There should be a way to eject garbage out of the ship without chucking it out the door.
Yeah, there is. However, you got to put it into the garbage machine, which usually
yeah.
stores it and then flings it out, like when you're in outer space. So, Fulton,
Uh-huh.
you know how to fly the ship, so you're doing all the overrides, and you only know because you already know where the buttons are. You don't have to look at
Mm-hmm.
the little stickers that say, this button for this button and so forth. But you hear a large bang as obviously some big rock just hit the ship. Not the giant one that would
Yeah,
crush
but
the ship.
right, yeah.
You you realize that didn't sound good.
No.
A little red light comes on, and the light indicates that there is damage to the thruster that gets you out of the atmosphere.
Okay.
However, you can still hover and you can still maneuver,
All right.
but it's skimming along the ground.
Right. Like Luke Skywalker's little thing. So
Right,
okay, that
right.
makes sense. Okay. So when I've got when I feel that I've got it further enough along that I can taxi in my hover move there,
Yeah.
I'm going to start pushing up the engines and try and hover away from these damn rocks, especially from that big rock.
You can feel the ship is not perfectly stable. It wobbles a little as you're hovering.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, you're able to thrust. And as you guys are looking out the windows, you notice that the rocks are trying to keep up with you. They're rolling. There's lots of them now, hundreds of them, and they're all rolling along with you. And occasionally they'll try to leap up and hit your ship. But you're maneuvering. You're kicking up a lot of dust.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I would
And
like you
oh,
to do. Do you have any kind of piloting or maneuvering?
I didn't. I didn't take any points
Well,
in
let's
it.
let's
Yeah.
say that you've got piloting since you
Okay.
you you are piloting the ship. That'll give you a 10%. Um,
Okay.
roll that against speed in this case.
All right. Build the need. The need to. Oh, a 16. That is a pass.
Okay, so you're managing to skim along. There are rocks hitting you, but none of the big ones are hitting you. Little ones, you can hear them pelting against the side of the ship. Um,
I'm gonna kind of
Rat,
like do some quick maneuvers and stuff. And if I look back and I see Dr. Bell's kind of standing, like maybe a little awkward, I'll do a quick maneuver so he kind of like loses his balance and chuck a
yeah,
little
you
bit at
guys
the
are
the
brake
cog
checking into
head.
the bulkhead.
you guys almost if you're not strapped into a chair, you almost have to lay down or sit down on the ground of the ship so that you don't get thrown around. Um, Rhett, the ship, the you've picked up one of these little crystals and you're holding it near you, and you can tell that it's definitely saying something along the lines of uh, it almost feels like you've broken the rules. You have violated our sacred space, something like that. Uh, you must be stopped. Um, it's not in any language you've ever heard, but somehow you understand it with this strange gibberish that you've been speaking. You seem to be able to understand it. Um, it's obviously a life form of some sort, and it obviously it expresses fright at you picking it up and holding it, and it flares its little feet out and they cut into your fingertips. So suddenly you have to drop it, and your fingertips are bleeding where you were trying to hold it, as if little knives had suddenly carved into your finger.
Mm.
And it
If
rolls
if,
away.
if I'm in the room, I'm going to try to chase it and capture
Yeah.
it.
Okay, you can
Can
do
we
a
grab some
speed roll to see
tweezers?
if you catch it.
Okay. Oh, yes. 18 under 39. Yes.
Yeah, you manage to scoop it into a jar or something as you.
Yeah. And I say to Rhett, keep these things in the container. I'm not sure what these things would do if they got loose on the ship.
All right. So while we're doing flight maneuvers and I'm holding on for stability, I'm gonna try to charade like me talk to you, no. Me talk to the bug, yes.
And it's like you're talking to the bug?
Hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, tell it, we mean you no harm.
All
I'll
right.
try.
I was about to
Rhett,
like torture and interrogate this thing, but yeah, sure. I'll try to go with all I mean you no harm.
He puts
Rhett,
away
do an
the jumper
intelligence
cables
roll.
and the golf cart battery.
Yeah.
Rhett, do an
Um,
intelligence roll.
all right. 89. That's a fail again.
Okay. Um, the little crystals, when you say something to them, there's a moment when they stop making noise, like they're trying to comprehend what you said, and then they all become they all start like almost screaming in unison. Uh, when this happens, you feel very strange, like you're a little drunk, you know. And Dr. Noble, as you're looking at Rhett, you notice that there's sort of a he suddenly doesn't look in his right mind,
I probably fall
like he's
over.
drunk. Yeah. You start to you feel a little dizzy.
Well, with the maneuvers too, I probably topple.
Right. Okay, so you hit the ground. Dr. Noble, what do you want to do?
I'll help Rhett to the nearest uh, chair, um, and see if
Okay.
I can and if there's a way to strap him in, I'll do that.
Okay. So Rhett, you've fallen on the ground. Dr. Noble comes over to help you. And he reaches down and he takes a hold of your arm. And as he starts to lift you up, you feel very strange, and you realize that Dr. Noble's hand has penetrated through your flesh on your arm, and sort of your your bones are somehow interlocked. And now he's reaching up with his other hand, and he's becoming sort of entangled in you. And he pushes you down into a chair, and he starts to grow these tubes that begin to wrap around you, and your stress level. You can actually do a panic roll,
All right.
which
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
have
I
my
don't I
panic
don't like
table
any of
out.
that, so I'm probably gonna be trying to fight him off. I rolled a 7, which is under my stress.
Okay. Uh, yeah, you're terrified though, as he seems to be merging with you, uh, and Dr. Noble, Rhett is really putting up a fight for some reason as you're trying to strap him into the chair.
Yeah. So isn't there like failing a panic roll as a Marine that does something, doesn't it?
Oh, did you? Yeah, you failed that. So I need to make a fear save, and I failed it.
Oh.
There. And now I should have read them. uh, what happens when you fail a fear save? Then you go into panic, don't you?
Yeah,
I don't
I
actually
think.
know.
Roll a panic roll.
Okay. I rolled a 15, so that's over my stress level.
Okay. Give me a second to open that up.
Yeah, it's funny. My first roll was a critical success, and I've done terrible since then.
Got the wrong file open. Okay, fear. Sorry about this. No, I don't see it. Um, I say if you fail it, you roll a panic. Panic.
So I rolled exactly my stress level.
So according to this, if you roll equal to lower your stress, you panic.
Okay. All right. I am panicking too.
And what is the effect of panicking?
There's a
There's a
table
roll
you roll
table.
on. Mm-hmm.
So roll d20. I roll 11. I am suspicious for the next week whenever someone joins the crew.
Yeah, okay. So you're freaked out and you're suspicious about everybody in the whole mission and
Yeah.
everything. All right. Fulton, you continue to maneuver and move farther and farther away,
Yeah.
and eventually there aren't any rocks following you any longer. You've moved far away. You don't see much in the way of crystals on the surface any
Okay.
longer. You see mostly just desert and sand. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna start flipping through the multi-display and see if there's any report on my thing about what damage we took. Usually that part of the ship will show up red on there if it's registering that it had a fault.
It looks like the only thing that's been seriously damaged, and maybe not seriously, is your thrusters to get you back into outer space. Other than that, there's probably a lot of dents and stuff along the surface of the outer part of the ship. You'd have to actually stop it
Yeah, that's
and
what.
look it over.
Now that I'm not seeing any more rocks or hearing any more rocks, I'm gonna pull back on the throttles and put this thing down because I don't want to burn up all my fuel taxiing. That burns up a lot of fuel.
Okay.
Then once I'm done with that, I plan to go out and try and take an actual look at this thruster.
Well, when you stop and you start to leave the cockpit area, you hear Dr. Ross and Rhett sort of struggling in the main part of the ship.
Hell.
You see Rhett's freaked out about something.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
while they're doing that, am I still fighting the gantry? Is that where I've been this whole time?
Um, you were having trouble. Yeah, you were probably getting knocked around some, so you're mostly just holding on. That stopped, so you should be able to open up the gantry.
As as the ship kind of comes into land, and I see uh Fulton kind of go past. It's like, I know it's a spaceship, but did you have to hit every bump in the road?
He goes, just for you, Jack Ball.
Uh, I guess I'll follow him into the lab because I've got this rock sphere at the gantry, and I'm not just gonna like kick it out in a random place on this planet.
Well, what I was going to do is I was walking by, I was going to grab like the uh air horn or the call whatever because if they're in there struggling, I just kind of want to go just to grab their attention to see if I can
Ah,
get them. So I don't want to get hit.
All right. When you do that, Rhett, do an intelligence roll.
uh,
Let's see, what about 52 would still fail.
Okay. I'm gonna say uh, Dr. Noble and Dr. Bell, you can also do an intelligence roll. But Rhett, when he hits that horn, uh, it makes you jump.
I got a
And
29.
you kind of realize that you're just strapped to a chair. Um, uh, Dr. Bell, you got a 29. How about you, Dr. Noble?
Oh, I failed that.
Okay. Um, your remarkable android perception, um, you notice that the little crystals in the jar, um, they suddenly reacted rather strongly to Fulton pushing that horn. Um, and Rhett, you've also noticed that they stopped screaming the second that he did that. Uh, they've all pulled in and they're all no longer little insects. They're all little crystals again.
Oh, okay. So, whoa. Okay, big deal. We'll have to put a pin in that for later. Um, we should go back to where we got this, and we should give it back. Did Fulton see any of the little like crystal bugs skittering around?
No, he was busy in the cockpit.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know what the sphere is, but I've seen the bugs. Dr. Noble, you've seen the bugs, and Rhett, I don't know if you can understand me, but not twice if you've seen the bugs. So,
Hold up my bloody hand.
okay. Oh, you've touched the bugs. Okay, cool, great. Uh, Dr. Noble, I'm going to go out on a limb and probably going to need a reset after this, but I'm fairly certain that we've upset some kind of uh, 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 stone-based or like crystal-based life form. Um, that's kind of the only explanation I have right now, and I know it sounds crazy, but I
No,
think we need to give them their rock back.
no, I don't think you're crazy at all. I do think these are life forms. They are certainly quite interesting life forms. Um, you know, I mean, I think like I honestly I think get the ship going again, we should keep these as samples. We should take them back. We need to study these creatures, find out how they work, how they live. This is a fascinating find. We just can't leave this behind.
I mean, yeah, but like, do we want to continue the kind of humanities push off for invading local ecosystems and just taking everything of value and leaving?
I mean, our job is to find things that could be sold, manufactured for money. We're here to make money. We're not here to uh, seek out new life and live long and prosper. No, we're here to make money. That's our job.
Oh, Okay, I mean, I guess. I mean, how are we gonna undo uh what's been done to Fulton and Brett? I mean, we can't put them back into regular society like this.
I mean, it's entirely possible, with the right medical attention, we might be able to like put in some like cochlear implants, perhaps. I'm not sure. Uh, that would help rewire their brain.
I mean, I guess it could work. I don't know. I mean, I literally can't go against the orders of the human crew. I just want it expressed. This is not uh I what is it? I am a conscientious objector to this course of action.
No, that's fine. There's a form for that. It's form 2796-A, and you can fill out the form, submit it to the company. It'll
He's
go to
gonna
the
pull
legal
out
team.
he's gonna pull out like an inch thick stack of like the yellow carbon copy, like receipt forms that he's filed. He's like, oh, I'm well aware of the form. Um, can I guess all right, I mean, I guess if we're just uh gonna destroy endemic life, we may as well try and figure out as much as we can before the corporation gets here. Um, so it seems like this thing responds to like radio frequencies or at least like noise sound waves of some kind. Um, if I get that ball into like a lab, can I like I don't know, like hit it with binary?
Sure, you can try those sorts of experiments. Um, do an intelligence.
Okay. Uh, I believe it or not, I fail. I got a 72.
You don't get any response from the crystal, um, though some of what you do while you're doing it in the other room where Rhett is, the little crystals in the jar seem to be vibrating or shaking. Um, have you stopped the ship? Are you going to, Rhett, Fulton, you said you were going to go
Yeah,
outside?
I stopped the ship and I'm going to go outside to take a look at that thruster.
Okay. It looks like, for the most part, the damage to the ship is superficial, but the thruster will require some repair.
Okay.
You think that you could pull it together in maybe an hour?
Yeah, I got jury rigging. So
Okay.
that's what you want to do on that spaceship.
Once you roll jury rigging.
Okay. 35, and I'm assuming that goes with intellect, so that would be a pass.
Okay. We'll say that it's going to take you about an hour before you can get that done.
Right.
Dr. Bell, what kinds of experiments do you want to do on the sphere?
I'm going to try any method I can to establish some kind of like pattern recognition between myself and the ball. If just trying to see if I can get like an on-off response because as a ostensibly an electronic being myself, binary would be the simplest way for us to communicate. Um, so maybe I'll try if the electricity didn't work or an electrical signal didn't work, I'll try maybe not something at the volume of like the air horn, but something at like a sound wave that's just of a specific frequency.
Okay. Um, it takes you, we're going to say it takes you about 40 minutes to
Sure.
work on this. As you're doing it, you begin to realize that at certain uh, frequencies, you get a resonance from the the sphere itself, um, looking for microscopic changes in the structure, begin to realize that the whole inside of the sphere moves just little bits, and not as a single entity, but almost like an egg sac
Ooh. Oh
with
no.
hundreds of thousands of these little crystal bugs inside of it. Um, they're smaller than the ones in the jar.
Yeah, there's a lot more of them.
Yeah, hundreds, maybe thousands. Um, they don't seem to like certain frequencies of noise because it literally causes their bodies to resonate. And
Okay.
with a loud enough signal, you could shatter them into pieces, just
Okay.
like you would shatter a glass.
Um, do we have a method of containing this thing if it were to rupture?
Probably. Well, I mean, you could find something. You guys are scientists, so you've probably got some sort of container in case it that you could put it in, some sort of force field or.
Okay. So I'm gonna relay that. I'm gonna get on the radio or the intercom or whatever and relay to Noble that that giant sphere that Fulton brought in is a like an egg sac, like for spiders, but it's full of like tens of thousands of those little crystal bugs.
Oh,
I'm going to also relay to him the frequencies that I have, cataloged that will be effective against these things should, the worst happen. And I think the last thing I do before I try to get this thing into containment is rig the intercom to be able to play those frequencies. Do I need to make a jury rig roll for that or?
Go ahead.
All right.
You know your computer
I,
systems.
I
So
say I got an ought two, so that's just a straight intelligence check.
you know how to do that. Yeah.
Cool. Um, of course, I'm also including notes like on the machine that according to interstellar law, activating this defense system would count as an act of genocide or all of these things of I am doing this against what I would consider to be my free will. Um, but yeah, so it's, yeah, okay. So yeah, no wonder they're pissed. We just stole 20, 90,000 of their children.
Yeah.
Um, ooh, actually, a thought occurs. What happens if we put or expose Fulton or Rhett to one of those frequencies?
I'm
Like,
outside, so it'd be hard to.
right. I forgot you were
Rhett's
outside fixing the thing.
yeah, but
Yeah.
Rhett's strapped to the chair, so
Sipping water angrily.
Do you want to try it?
Yeah, actually, I do. And I'm not gonna put headphones on him or whatever. I should just be able to I don't know, open my mouth and do a horrific, Doctor Who screech, but at the frequency we need. I don't know. I've not
We're an
played an
Android.
Android before.
I mean, yeah, you just or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Um,
Which has to be horrifying.
so I mean, describe moment by moment what happens. What do you do?
So I'm gonna hey Rhett, you're gonna hate this, but I need to try this out. And his jaw kind of just drops, it doesn't hinge, it just sort of distends for
Right.
a second. And there's just a monotone frequency that begins cycling slowly through a couple of different tones. Am I seeing any kind of change?
Well, when you get to certain frequencies, you do notice the little creatures in the jar react.
Right, but no, Rhett's not like, I mean, he hasn't like blown a blood vessel in his eye or anything, right?
No, I mean,
Okay.
quite honestly, it doesn't really hurt Brett at all. It's not that loud.
After about 60 seconds of this, if I'm not seeing any kind of, change to Rhett in terms of exposure, I'm going to stop and then explain what I was trying to do. Um, which is, I figured if the creatures responded to certain frequencies, that whatever they did to you might respond to those same frequencies. But it appears that my hypothesis was incorrect.
Well, Brett was just sitting there while you did it.
Right.
How would you know?
Well, yeah. So I'm kind of curious what Red experienced during this whole thing.
Rhett, nothing at all seemed to happen, except that Dr. Bell made a weird noise.
I apologize, Tom.
Well,
I did not mean to just assume.
Yeah, I stare at him screaming at me and finish off my water. And then he's going to hear a whole bunch of angry marine gibberish. I'm like, all right, well, go ahead and keep screaming at those bugs. I hate them. I'm going to grab my gun and go protect Fulton while he protects the engines. But neither of you can understand a word I say, so fuck you guys. Walk outside.
Okay, well, before you get up,
Yeah.
because I'll have to unstrap you first, but
Well, it's like a seatbelt is what I assumed, but yeah,
yeah,
sure.
Dr. Bell, do an intelligence roll.
Ooh, a success with a 48.
Okay.
Just on
So
the limit.
you start to hypothesize through your mind, and you suddenly realize, well, wait a second. Maybe when you made that noise, it interrupted whatever they're doing to Rhett. But Rhett didn't talk, so you don't know. Now that you've stopped, whatever interferences there might be back in place. He should have tried to talk while you were doing the noise.
Would there be a way for me to extrapolate from the effective frequencies other frequencies that might be subsonic to the human ear that would have the same effect?
Yeah, you can do a scan, of an analysis of sounds. And when you do that, you do find that there's all sorts of other sounds and frequencies that are going on that are outside the realm of human hearing. There's a noise. It's like, like there's always noise when you're in a jungle
Mhm.
of insects. That seems to be going on here too. It's just that most of it is way too high
Or too low, but yeah.
or too low for people to hear. Um, but you do think that something might be interfering with Rhett's ability to, his aphasia. Um, but it might be counteracted when you make the when you send out the frequency.
That was going to be my next step, which would be to make an ultrasonic or I don't know what the subsonic, so I guess subsonic frequency, and then ask Keith a question and see if he responds. Or ask Rhett a question and see if he responds. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Fulton, I was looking at you.
Yeah. So you start the frequency, and you look at Rhett. What do you guys do? Rhett's getting out of his chair.
Right. Hey, Rhett, could you I don't know, insult me or something?
Grumble, grumble, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work.
Except that you understand him when he says grumble, grumble, blah, blah.
Perfect. That was perfectly
Yay!
understandable gibberish.
And the little crystal bugs are shaking in the tube.
Nice.
Oh, okay. I've got it. So what, because I'm assuming that Fulton's got to have like an earpiece or whatever we're using for like inter-crew communication. I'm going to just like lock open a channel that plays that frequency and then just walk out and go talk to Fulton.
Okay. You walk out.
Um,
Fulton's just finishing up
Hey, Fulton, can you understand me?
Yes, I can.
I can understand you. It works.
What are you
Uh,
talking? You
we,
can?
yeah, I think I solved it. I'm gonna have to work with Dr. Noble on this, see if we can figure out a more permanent solution. I wonder if, no, I'm gonna have to ask him. So, you see him like just sort of stop mid-sentence and just run back up like the gantry. Um,
Androids.
Dr. Noble,
Yeah.
Dr. Bell comes like charging in and just starts like vomiting as much information as possible at you as quickly as possible. Um,
Yeah. Um, well, here's an idea. Like we could put them in a container, and maybe hook up a speaker that plays
Hmm.
this sound
Hmm.
over the crystalline creatures, and that might be enough to allow Fulton and Red to curse us at will.
Yeah. Well, all right. So I was having a communication with that little thing. These bugs are intelligent and they know what they're doing. They keep saying violation. They've that we consecrated some holy whatever. But so I was trying to tell him to stop when he cut my finger and got away. Let's blast them with whatever you're. They don't like it. So that's good. You figured that out. Tell them call it off or else we're going to keep doing it.
um, Wait, so when everything's all garbled, you're able to communicate with them?
Yeah, I thought Ross was talking to me, but it was the bugs.
Oh, interesting.
That's a new wrinkle, Dr. Noble. That's an intelligent species.
Yeah.
And I hate them.
Well, that's fine. I mean, you're human. There's
Okay.
plenty of species that don't like you.
Okay, yeah. If they're intelligent, that kind of puts them into a different category. Um, damn it. Now I've got to fill out those other forms. Shit. Okay. So maybe chucking them out the hatch is the best plan. We just get rid of them. We'll have to
Would
report
we
back to
project a big
Loomis.
sound wave on the whole planet and wipe them out?
But what is with you people in genocide? I don't
It,
understand.
it in theory, I mean, ultimately we haven't found anything of value, particularly on this planet. We're not even really sure that these creatures are valuable. Um,
Technically, you've only been there for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I
You
come
can
back
see
in.
Dr. Bell just visibly like dies inside when you say that.
I,
I mean, one thing that we could do, if we wanted to continue to explore, is we could like modify our headsets to broadcast that particular frequency, and then it wouldn't interfere with our ability to function on the planet.
hmm. I
About
come
that
back
time,
in. Yeah.
Yeah, Fulton comes back
Yeah, I
in.
come back in. I'm like, hey, thanks for the help with the ladder, Dr. Bell. It's like, I like carrying that in the tool chest. It's like, going, glad. So you got this all figured out and stuff? You got this where you can understand me?
Yeah.
He kind of looks at you deadpan and then hits a button on his communicator that turns that frequency off.
Jesus, bitch.
And he goes like, "No, I'm just kidding." He turns it back on. I can't do
Mm.
that. I'm not allowed. Um, so sorry. I was
It's all
busy
right.
informing the ship biologist that we're dealing with an internet or an intelligent species.
Yeah. I
But
mean, we could always
they're
contact.
rocks. You're saying genes. It's a crystal.
One thing that we can do is we can report back to Loomis what we found so far and get instructions as to what they would like us to do.
Yeah, I mean, they attacked us, so I feel fine taking them out. They remember they threw that rock at me.
And a very
Is
big rock was coming at us.
is there for discoveries like for corporate discoveries like this, is there like a mandatory reporting? I guess there's not really like a space fed. Like I can't send it to, like the Bureau of Land Management. Uh,
Well, you're also all employees. You're not.
right.
Uh, you don't make the decisions.
Yeah, whatever a corporation tells us is the law.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you violated the law, that nobody might ever find out about it, at least not for hundreds of years.
Hmm.
Eventually, humans will come out here and probably build a city or something. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I
Okay.
so, what do
guess.
you guys do?
All right.
How are you going to resolve the predicament?
Okay.
You
So
can now leave if you want
yeah,
to.
yeah. We got our thrusters working. We obviously can't stay here because that giant cube was coming, and I mean, just because we were faster this time, I don't think it's going to you know, we obviously can't sleep here once that's a long time for them to catch up with us. Uh, you think you found some scientific discoveries?
Yeah, I think this is a really important discovery. I mean, these are life forms of completely different nature.
Sounds sounds good to me. I mean, like go back, get our gold star, and let them know that hey, this is what we found. Whether they can make money off it or not, that's up to them.
Yeah,
Good,
good idea.
They
but
can always send a scientific team later.
yeah, exactly. But do we have a safe way to store them as we travel I assume, months to get back, if not more?
Yeah, so my recommendation that I've been mulling over is that we could put them in uh, a metallic crate, and we can get the crate or to vibrate at a specific counter frequency to whatever their like interference is doing, and do the same for the things in the glass jar. I mean, we have no idea what these things feed off of, if they have oxygen requirements, but if the goal is to interfere with their ability to do the speech interference thing, then that would be probably my best guess.
Well, I'm not a scientist, but if you think that'll work, I mean, I would have to trust you on that. You're saying they're at some operating at some frequency?
Yeah, the since they're a crystalline structure, if
Again,
we
I'm not a scientist there,
I know,
Dr.
it's
Bell. I
because
guess
they're
that makes
rocks, and rocks are made or built a specific way. If I play a sound at a specific volume and frequency, the rock vibrates and stops them doing what they're doing.
okay. Sure. I'll trust you on that one, Dr. Bell. You you got me able to talk to you again. That's a positive. Can you understand me, Rhett? We were having trouble earlier.
Yeah, I
Yeah, you
think we're
can
good.
understand each other.
All right. Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah, yeah, and the communication was just one thing. There was when I was arguing with the bug, it started messing with me. I think I was hallucinating. Things were
oh,
real weird for a minute there.
It's not good.
hypnotoad.
All right. So it sounds like your idea is that you're going to take the samples with you and leave.
Yeah.
You find the means to contain them. Um, there will come a point where you guys have to go into, I guess, cryo for months. Let's do We don't really have luck.
Delta Green
Oh,
Light. Roll 50%.
yeah.
All right. All right.
Do
I'll
you
roll it.
want to try that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll roll it. Okay. 25. Didn't say if
Okay.
we want high or low, but
So, well, that would be low. I was just go low. All
yeah,
right. So you guys pack up. You pack up the creatures and you leave, and you return to Loma Survey Company, and you probably are sent on another assignment, and you don't ever know what the outcome is, but probably they find some use for them or something. They do
hmm
seem to be an intelligent life form, but unlike anything anybody's seen so far, which sounds good, but it's like every time you go to a new planet, you find something that nobody's ever seen before. So,
Right, yeah. It's like old school. Oh yeah. Ooh, we found something cool.
so that's the end of our mothership adventure.
Oh,
Um, okay, so I do this usually at the end of a procedural adventure. I tell you what I rolled. So, following the procedures, uh, you roll 6 times, and that gives you the various things. So, the first roll is what is the transgression? I rolled an 84, which is you break a cultural taboo. Uh, I then roll for the omens, and I rolled a 78, which is speaking in tongues.
ah, that's fine.
I then roll for manifestation, and I rolled a 42, which says tangled mass of flesh,
Ooh.
which I didn't know how to incorporate that, but I thought
Yeah.
at some point it's going to seem like they're melding together. Uh,
Nice.
the banishment, I got 53, which is special weapon. In this case, it turned out to be sound.
Uh-huh.
Um, for uh, slumber, I don't know what that means, but I got recurring hallucinations. So you guys were having hallucinations. And then the theme of the whole thing was number one, which is death, uh, ancient, arise. But I kind of did the opposite, life. I thought about when we first started that maybe these were all gray and that
hmm
you had violated them. But then I thought, oh, it might be more interesting if they're egg sacs.
Yeah.
And the aliens all got mad. So I also something happened this last week that delighted me to no end. So we all have memories of things when we were kids, things that we liked, things that terrified us, and there are things that we just can't remember where the fuck that came from, you know. And in my life, I had 3 of them.
hmm
And I managed to type something into Google that managed to trigger Google to answer me and tell me what I had gotten that from. And one of them was an old movie that I think from the 1970s that was, I didn't know the name of it. All I could remember was one scene from it. But the movie is called Ghosts, something like Ghosts That Still Live. And
Mm.
in that, there is a scene where the old man and woman are in their trailer and they go out into the middle of the desert. And as they're sitting there eating their lunch, they look out the window and they see something off in the distance moving. And when the guy gets out of the car and pulls up his binoculars, it's a gigantic boulder that is just rolling in their direction for no reason whatsoever. I had nightmares about that my whole life, but I couldn't remember what it came from. And so I thought tonight, I've got the opportunity to enter that in. Anyway,
Nice.
let me go ahead and finish up. We can talk some more. Our players included Julian Arba, Gordon Lewis, Kaylin McDowell, and Keith Craig, with yours truly as the game warden. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the shows provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you'd like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon site, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the strange and sometimes terrifying universe of the Mothership role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.